to prove everything is working, we'll bring up Zowe instance and demonstrate that it's using the JCERACFKS certificate. So the next step is to launch Zowe. We'll do this from a shell command line. We're in the directory with the zowe.yaml file, so we can just type ZWE start. So while that job's coming up, let's go and take a look at a few things. The name of the started task, ZWE JRW2Z, that comes because in the zowe.yaml file that we've used, in zowe.setup started task, that points to the name of the started task. We could have just gone into SGSF and done a /s and started that if we wanted to do some automation. We can go and have a look at that data set. Mine happens to be in user.proclib, and I have a number of them for different Zowe instances I'm using, ZWE JRW2Z. And what we need to do with that, if we're customizing that, is make sure that that config line at the end points to the directory we're using. So it loops back around to itself. U winchj ZWE instance keyrings osmf zowe.yaml. We can also see the location of the Zowe launcher and the APF authorized load library that's reading out of. Go back into the zowe.yaml file again. This is the one we're using with the certificate section that's been customized and set up, and certificate one that we're using down here. We're going to quickly have a look at the port it's going to come up. So the gateway port is 27554. And to look at the status of a Zowe job coming up, I like to use the Zowe Explorer and create a filter. The filter I'm using is on owner asterisk, the name of the prefix. Let's do ZWJRW2Z and submit the query. And as the job's coming up, a good test is to look for ZWEAM000I, and there should be a number of these nice messages telling us that the 4 different servers as part of the API mediation layer have started. And we can see all 4 of them have started. So now to go and look at Zowe, let's remind ourselves of Zowe's external IP address and the port number. So we'll open a browser. In this case, I'm using Firefox. 27564, and it is using HTTPS. And we can see the API mediation layer is there. So Zowe is successfully running and has a quick check. Let's go and look at the certificate, and we can see that this is the ZOSMF certificate with the IZU default. And the reason I had to add a security exception to Firefox to accept this is because even though this is a trusted certificate in terms of the certificate authority, it actually expired just a few days before I made this video. Unfortunately, I made the video on the 21st of June and expired on the 18th of May. So if this was actually a valid certificate that hadn't expired, I wouldn't have had to add the exception. But you can see that Zowe is using this certificate, and it's presented this certificate